Now, what actually traditional retirement plan, traditional model of retirement planning, it actually focuses on what? Portfolio value. Right? If you are like 2 million at the point of your retirement, how much you could spend a year, how much you could spend in how much you get a year, and they say that you must increase this, right? Okay, you must increase this. Let's say 55 years old. With inflation rate, you say 3%. They say, okay, today I think 8,000 a year is sufficient. 8,000 a month is sufficient to sustain my lifestyle after retirement. Then they say that, okay, for the every year I just top up 3%. Right? Normally it's like that. Agree? They say inflation rate, so you know you work backwards and what. But the thing is, the real thing is, people do not do like that. That is like a robot. Because the plan tells you, because the inflation rate 3%, you're not going to spend 3% just blindly like that, right? It adjusts. It's like what we do in our cash management. If to this month our money is a bit tight, then we spend less or eat out less, right? And if this month we have bonus, then you can splurge a bit, take your partner, go for some fine dining. Okay, these are the realities of life. And you're not going to let a financial plan tell you that, oh, this month you must spend like this 3% increase inflation. You're not going to do like that, right? Because that is like a robot. And a lot of people say, after retirement, you're going to spend less. Maybe as an income replacement method, 70% of your last month's salary. But he said that because, why? Because you travel less, no need to wear nice clothing for work, so you spend less money. So 70% of your expenses or things like that. But the thing is, your expenses, ponder over there, your expenses may rise after your retirement. Why? Because after retirement, what? You retire already, you should go for some traveling, and that actually offset. It could be more than that already, okay? And you cannot say that from 50 to 70 years old also, you cannot say I increase my expenses 3% a year. You can't really project that accurately, because in the early stage of your retirement, you might be very excited. You still have the energy, your body is still able to travel with your spouse, you with your other significant other, and that will incur a lot of expenses. But as you reach the end stage of your retirement, let's say you're 70 years old, maybe less energy, maybe not too, you have seen it all. For a lot of people, maybe mobility is a problem. And then at that time, actually, you spend less. So there's no way to know at what certain age you're going to spend how much. That the only way to know is to say that if I spend this much today, understand? If I splurge on that Caribbean vacation or anything that cost me 50K this year, how is it going to affect me 10 years down the road? It's a cause and effect. If you know this, you can visualize this. Because I think people need to visualize. If they can visualize what's going to happen at that point, and then you know that, can you take it at that point? If you're going to spend this kind of money for the next 5 years to go for luxury vacation because you want to reward yourself, so at that point of time, suddenly I'm going to run out of money. Are you okay or not? So if you can visualize this, and it's nothing right or wrong. Perhaps you say, I'm comfortable because 70 years old, I think I can depend on my children for money. That's fine, let's go ahead. But if you're not comfortable with that, then you need to adjust it in a way that you still have money to last you when you are 70. So things like that. Okay, we believe in this visualization, and it's pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. That's what I want to say. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. Right? So, during after retirement, it's not about how much you have. Because how much you have, you also finish one. What really matters is what we call as spendable money to pay the bills. You agree? You want to cover expenses, right? In your retirement. So you don't work, you don't have income, you still have the spendable money to pay the bills. Now that is the downfall of like what I've actually explained, what we call as an income replacement or expense method, which is the method most people use for retirement planning. And that is the downfall of it, because nobody can know. Because expenses may rise or fall depending on your lifestyle during the early stage of your retirement. And at the later stage, when you're not so healthy anymore, but not until sick, then your retirement may drop. And that even, who's going to cover for your medical expenses? See, that is the stark reality. That's the stark reality. Okay, so a question is like, a lot of people ask, okay, but of course, this is a portfolio value. Okay, if you have 2 million, how much should you spend? If I say that averagely, I can achieve 8% return a year on my portfolio. Anyone thinks 8% is not high enough? Or anyone who have a very high expectation? How much percent is enough? Anyone? John, what do you think is enough?
12.
12%. During retirement?
Yes.
How?
Excellent.
Ouch.
How?
Sorry?
How do you get that?
Yeah.
How to get that?
Yeah. That's the thing now. But if you cannot get 12, then you should contend with some tweak in the lifestyle, because you know that if your lifestyle is this, you expect 12%, 70 years old, your money is going to finish. Are you okay with that? Now, it all depends. I'm not saying it's okay. Maybe it's okay for you, but not okay for somebody. So, again, options. People like to be given options. Right? Okay, so like, how can you visualize? If average return, compound return, it could be a bit less. Or how much can you spend on absolute return? Or how much of your portfolio can you spend a year? And these are the tingling questions that has been a lot of people ask, right? And the system actually shows you how. If you spend this, what is going to happen? If you spend this, what is going to happen? If you spend this, what is going to happen? So it's your choice. But it's about visualization too. Now, what I'm sharing next is that I think many of us professionals, we use a lot of this part left brain, where we leave this dormant, the creativity. Now, when it comes to post-retirement money management planning, what we call as a very important is creative retirement planning. And this they never put it in any CFP syllabus, never put it in school. And that is what I know is by really Kisabanawan. True story on how really people, successful people, really know how to be creative with your post-retirement money management. Now, anyone come out of the rule of 25? Rule of 25? Anyone? Okay. Rule of 25 to say that it is, no need to have financial calculator. It's just a very simple calculation. It says that if you figure out how much you will spend in the first year of your retirement, and you multiply that by 25 to get the total savings required. I will demonstrate that a bit later. But the rule of 25 that if you say that how much you will need annually in the first year of your retirement, and you multiply by 25, so you got your retirement nest egg, the lump sum required, lump sum. And the catch is, when you retire and you're not having any income generated, you better do not spend more than 4% of your portfolio value. That's the rule of 25. Because if you spend more than 4% of your portfolio value, boy, fantastic thing is going to happen. Yes, of your portfolio value. 4%. It's a guideline, it's not, it's not a rule. But we could do an Excel projection of that, and you'll be surprised, actually. So how much you need annually on the first year of your retirement? You project it in today's value. See, if you have like today's value, okay, I can contend with 8,000 a month. Times that with 12 in today's value, that is 196,000. That's 800,000. 100,000. 20 years later, you're going to retire. Just project it. What are the future value of 100,000 in today's value, and then So some calculations coming soon. Is that okay? See, creative retirement planning. And they never tell you this. Instead, that the rule of 25 say that, okay, let's say I need 8,000 a month, 96,000 a year. 96,000 a year, you multiply 25. Oh, so you content with this, today's value, so 2.5 million. That's all we need. Simple as it gets. Now, things get creative. When I say creative, we need to look at the next slide. See? It's still a bit different, you see? If you say that, okay, I need 9,000 a year, a month. So I need about 108,000 a year. You multiply by 25 is 2.7 million. 2.7 million. So it's a 2.4 versus 2.7 million. Agree? Now what do you see in this? What do you see in this? Okay. Sorry, look at this. Sorry for the lady, it's a bit obscene, but so you see a lady or you see a man? Oh, both, right? Both. So it could be in the same perspective. And what I want to show that is the same. Either you can see a lady or see a man. So it's a matter of perspective. You see, perspective one, with regard to our calculation just now, is that perspective one, 2.7 million versus 2.4 million. You say one month, I want 9,000 instead of 8,000 a month, right? So you say that you need to figure out how to get those additional 300,000 into my retirement fund, correct? Because you say I need 9,000 a month of expenses instead of 8,000, 9 versus 8,000, and the difference is 300,000. So figure out how to get 300,000 more in your retirement fund. Now, the perspective too is if you are having, you say that I want 9,000 a month, can you do a bit less or not? 8,000 can? Can ma? Or 1,000 only ma? Or if you say cannot, because sometimes maybe you live in a city, and I know of people who say that live in a city, they say that I cannot cut 1,000, those are my fixed costs. Anyone in cost accounting? Fixed and variable cost, right? But you see, if you say that your children have migrated overseas, and you and your spouse are the only one at home, and let's say you love Penang, or even you love Cameron Island, can you relocate to Penang? Can you relocate to Cameron Island, where the expenses are a bit lower? Sorry, sir, you say cannot. So your name? Hong why cannot? It depends on choices. Again, choices. People like to be given a choice. So if you say cannot, I want to live in KL, so 9,000 is my minimum already. Then your only choice is save 300,000 more. But you say that 300,000 more easy to get. I say it's not too easy. So what are the creative part to work around this problem? We always, even engineers, we say that if this thing does not work, there's always a workaround. Agree? No problem cannot be solved. No target cannot be achieved. No, nothing. But there's one thing, the timeline. Perhaps this target cannot be achieved in this timeline, right? But everything can be achieved. So it is your option to figure out, inject 300,000 more into your retirement asset, or you're content with living less than 1,000 a month. Less lavishly, relocate to certain places where the cost of living is lower. So, again, choices. I would say choices. Now, which one is easier? Who thinks that perspective one is easier? Which one is easier?
I don't know.
Huh? Two. Two is easier, right? Alright? Just need to self-adjust. It depends. It depends on you. Right? Why? Maybe you can share with us.
If you stay in KL
for
your entire life, just move to Kampung, how you going to use the money? You can. In fact, there's people who try that.
Cannot,
come back again.
Come back again.
So,
John, Penang is kampung. Tak boleh. I stay in kampong like that.
I want to retire in Bali Pulau. You know, run my own durian estate.
Not so easy, but
Yeah.
maybe you say Penang, KL, okay lah, that's so bad lah.
Yeah.
Because after all, it's second best city and
Second.
third best city, but imagine you go to much smaller town,
Yeah.
where the living expenses are more lesser.
You can't get anything out. You can't get things.
You don't be able to stay there.
Adapt.
Yeah,
Money also you have nothing to spend on.
It depends on the individual.
Yes, it depends.
but it's very
Yeah. Again, nothing right or wrong, right? It's your choice. But this is what I want to share with you is, if you know this, then it's a choice to actually adjust.
just getting the details.
Yeah.
You won't be able to see.
So because we are 8, right? About 8, so I'm going to go a bit fast. In the sense that another thing about the sequencing problem. You see, this I promise this is the most number intensive slide you're going to see for tonight. See, okay. See, perhaps you have been seeing numbers for all day. What I want to say is that, traditional retirement planning model, they say that averagely, okay lah, after retirement you can 8% or 6%. And my friend John said 12%. Oh Lord, 3% more. You are like Warren Buffett already. Warren Buffett 15% for compounding a year only. See, when they tell you, okay, I project retirement plan for you, I project 10% or even 6%. What the data they get from where one? They say, oh, last 10 years historical market return 10%. Okay lah, okay. Then you put that in. But you see what is the downfall? You see, in here, in these 2 slides, I clearly show that within, I think this is 30 years. I forgot. So this the length of time is the same. So every year, you see what we call a sequencing problem. If you have 2 million, let's say, and you compare scenario A on the left-hand side, you have 10% winning years, 10% compounding in the first 10 years, and 10% losing at the next, the other half. If you average it out together here, is about minus 0.5. That's your average return. But this one also average return, 0.5. If you do a calculation, it's still average, but the sequence is different. You have 10 winning years and 10 losing years. Compare with 10 losing years first at the onset of your retirement, and after that 10 winning years. And the outcome is disastrous. You see, if you have 2 million, exactly the same, on the left hand side, and you say spend 4% of your capital annually, 80,000, and you say per month about 66,000. Now you see, if nothing changed, these are everything the same. I only reverse the order of this 10% return. And you can see the figure. If you draw 5% now, you can only contend with 900 something a month. And if you see this, what's the balance of your nest egg? See? This is the called sequencing return. So it's very important that on the onset of one's retirement, how is the market condition perform? Everything is the same. Anyone who can tell you average return, I will be very skeptical of it, because what matters is actually the compounding return. And how this compounding return, the sequence of this compounding return is very important. Once you got your sequence return, you see, it is a difference of living like a king a month compared to living on dog food. That is the thing, sequencing return, right? So, to summarize it all, what we call that the traditional asset-based retirement planning, they has it down for. So what matters after retirement is spendable money to pay the bills. Now what we call as a cash flow-based retirement planning, what are the 4 rule system? Now, I think you guys should do accounting. When we do invest in value investing, do we ask, does the company make money? Actually, for a fund manager, that is the wrong question to ask. Because the right question to ask is, does it generate cash flow of its core business? And you see, in value investing, you know that cash is king. So in retirement, it's the same. cash is the king. Okay, that's why it's a cash flow base. It's not about portfolio value, it's about the cash. What's the cash that generates out of your portfolio to support your living expenses? Now, you see, this 4-rule system is so simple that it requires no financial calculator. The concepts are so simple. And why I say like that, if Einstein can summarize the workings of the universe in these 4 letters, then I think we can summarize it in a very simple way. Because ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary. No need to be fancy modeling, no need to be fancy calculator to do this now. No need for projection using historical inflation rate, no fancy calculator required, and no assumptions. Now, the most important thing in retirement, post-retirement, is what we call as a poverty consciousness. And what I mean by that, poverty consciousness means that imagine even if you have 2 million portfolio, okay, 2 million portfolio, retire very happy. But as the years go by, you see your portfolio dwindling down. Are you afraid or not? It's like my bank account, the cash come going up. I'm very afraid. No matter I have 200 ringgit, 2,000, 20,000 or 2 million. Because if I see my cash flow is going down, I'm very worried. See, that is the perspective I want to share with you. I'm very worried. Because when you see your cash flow going down in your retirement, you're not generating income either by outside or by your portfolio. You see your cash flow going down, what's going to happen? You're going to save, you cannot enjoy, right? People say retirement is the golden years. And what do you say the golden years? Golden years means that you can enjoy, but your mindset you cannot enjoy. And this is very true one. When you reach retirement, my client shared with me, when they're in 50, 60, they see the portfolio going down without any cash inflow. It's only outflow. You are not able to enjoy your golden years because you see portfolio is down and down and down, right? It's no matter how that, because even though like we got property investment, we don't have 1 million to invest in property, right? We leverage by banks, by mortgage borrowing. But because we say that we still have a job, we still have an income, so I'm not afraid. But imagine today, if you lose your job, no income is not flowing in. How much you have in there is irrelevant. You're going to feel afraid because you know there's no cash inflow anymore. And that is the thing. We want to prevent what we call as a poverty consciousness. When you say poverty consciousness, you see your poverty winning now, you are afraid to spend. You cannot enjoy your golden years, and that is the point that I want to make. Right? So the solutions are actually, you ask me, I can summarize it for tonight. Very simple. First rule, you must have a portfolio that generates residue income in the excess of personal expenses. Simple enough? Simple enough? 8,000 a month, 96,000 a year. And your portfolio, if your portfolio can generate more than 96,000 a year, are you happy? I think I'm happy. Because you know there's an offset in that already. Now, what happens if you have this, a portfolio generates excess cash in excess of your personal expenses? It makes your life expectancy irrelevant. It doesn't matter how long I live, right? Every year I got a positive cash flow, doesn't matter or not, I'm not worried. You know, the feeling is different. Now the second rule is you need to have a growth, and that is almost certain. A portfolio, an investment portfolio that grow greater than the inflation rate. And what I mean by that, consistently, you cannot afford any speculation. There's no time for speculation. And what are the things that grow outpace or at the same rate as inflation rate? Property, one of it, right? So your total return minus your absolute withdrawal expenses more than inflation rate, that's cool. It makes inflation totally irrelevant. You don't need to factor inflation into the picture. Because you know your portfolio is growing outpacing inflation, like in a sense of property, right? And the third rule would be uncorrelated multiple source of income. Is that you're not going to watch the grass grow every day, right, after retirement. No one wants to grab it because as you experience, you can do consultancy work, You have a rental for property, maybe you invest in some real estate investment trust, you have bond fund, you have dividend stock. So all those are income generating assets based on your skills or your money, right? So uncorrelated multiple sources of income. If you have a consultative business going with your vast experience, you consult, money is still coming in. If I lost 10% on my portfolio value this year, doesn't matter. I'm still generating income from my consultancy work, for example. Now the fourth rule is do not retire until there is excess money to reinvest for growth. Now, a lot of people say that, oh, 45 I can retire. I want to retire. Who don't want to retire early, right? I also want to retire earlier. But if that is the downfall you need to watch out for. So, do not retire until there's excess money to reinvest for growth. Now, the extra fifth rule is what I call as the bucket allocation for critical illness and medical coverage, especially on this. Most of my clients, when they reach 50 years old, just before they retire, they say that, oh, disastrous. My company does not provide me any medical insurance anymore. And they have not factored this into the retirement fund. So before you reach 55, I would say, take this very, very seriously. Right? If your company have a group term medical insurance, what I know is they won't cover you after retirement. So better get yourself covered after post-retirement, after company coverage system, because that's going to eat up into your retirement fund. Because do you think which one is easier? You build up of money for your medical fund to pay for your contingency medical expenses, or you already allocate the money for your insurance premium, medical insurance premium. Option 1, option 2. I think option 2 is more manageable. You can foresee how much you're going to pay. But for medical bill, you do not know when it's going to hit and what is the amount you're going to pay. So, allocate, beside your retirement fund, allocate a fund to pay for your post-retirement medical insurance. You can forget about life if you don't have that. You can forget about TBD, but critical illness, maybe you need. Medical insurance is the one that will kill a lot of people in terms of retirement fund. There's 2 options to this. One more option is that you learn to love General Hospital. Then, it's good, good facility. Alright, so the premium for the lump sum. This one is, anyone knows the difference between standalone medical card investment and medical rider? Not going into that. You want to know, the time is almost up. Want to know, then you can drop me a mail or things like that. So, this is a system, just a preview of the system, what we call the composite retirement system that can let people to visualize the cause and the effect. And I think that is very important. That's a snapshot of the system. Like I say, it's very important, cause and effect. If you know what you do today, how it's going to impact you, your retirement, whether you can still afford the dignity that everyone needs. Who do not think dignity as a human being is important? I think it's very important, especially after retirement when we are old age. So, retirement, you can, the system allow you to adjust your inflation rate every year, see the impact of retirement nest egg. You can visualize the impact of anything you do during your retirement. And you can determine how much to spend for your cash inflow, and how much you invest. Because like I say, traditional retirement planning assumes that whatever investment generated from your return is reinvested 100% into the portfolio, right? But real life doesn't happen like that, right? You have multiple sources of income. Perhaps some of this income you reinvest. Some of it you go for vacation. So how much you reinvest? What are the impact? And those are the things that is very important to visualize. So, before I wrap, these are 3 outcomes. Outcome 1, whether you want something like this. Outcome 2, which is slightly better because it lasts you longer until 95. Or outcome 3, whereby your portfolio actually grows in a sense that you can leave a legacy also for your children, for those who are married. So it depends. Whatever you do, you come into either of these outcomes. And if you can visualize this, it's like you have a crystal ball to visualize it, the cause and the effect. And I think that actually gives people a lot of awareness, enlightenment on how they view their post-retirement life would be. What else? I'm not going to go in front of them. Again, there's this which I didn't cover much, the 3-4-5% rule in adjusting the portfolio returns. It ties up with creative retirement planning, right? If your portfolio drops this year, you're not going to go for your Caribbean vacation, right? So these are the things. If your portfolio drops this year, you better spend less, adjust a bit, don't go for luxurious vacation this year if your portfolio drops, because your cash inflow is not much already because market recession. Nobody can avoid that, right? So how much? When you say, yes, it's easy to say reduce, but how much? How much and by what effect? What is the impact? This year, next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years later, what is the impact? If you can visualize this, I think that is very powerful. So, you can, my name is Liu, you can drop your contacts if you want to contact me, or I have my main blog over here, howtofinancemoney.com, where I share a lot of things on personal finance, including what I talk about here. So it's a free public blog or website, business website of mine. So I think I make it at 8. Thank you very much and have a good evening.